Well, welcome everyone to the Villa V Players Readers Theater production of the Diaries of Adam and Eve, and it was originally written by Mark Twain. Well, tonight's presentation was adapted into a Readers Theater production by a former resident, Jean Waldera, and she was the Odyssey's, many of you will know this, she was the original director of the Villa V Players, and Jean is now 94 years old and sings her love from her home in Fargo, North Dakota. And she knows we're doing this. Our readers tonight are Beverly Kerber as Eve, and Tim Krohov performing as Adam. Staging is by theater director Sherry Olson. In the booth, working his production magic, is technical director Mr. Geek Jim Gould. And tonight, our videographer is Mrs. Geek Chris Gould. And our announcer Judy Reinheimer. Please silence your phone and avoid taking flash photos. And thank you. And now sit back and enjoy the readings of the Diaries of Adam and Eve.
Saturday. I'm almost a whole day old now. I arrived yesterday. That is as it seems to me. And it must be so, for if there was a day before yesterday, I was not there when it happened, or I should remember it. It could be, of course, that it did happen and I was not noticing. Very well, I will be very watchful now, and if any day before yesterday's happened, I will make a note of it. It will be best to start right and not let the record get confused. For some instinct tells me that these details are going to be important to the historian someday. For I feel like an experiment. I feel exactly like an experiment. It would be impossible for a person to feel any more like an experiment than I do. And so I'm coming to feel convinced that that is what I am. An experiment. Just an experiment and nothing more. Everything looks better today than it did yesterday. In the rush of finishing up, some of the mountains were left in ragged condition, and some of the plains were so cluttered with rubbish and remnants that the aspects were quite distressing. Noble and beautiful works of art should not be subject to haste, and this majestic new world is indeed a most noble and beautiful work, and certainly marvelously near to being perfect, notwithstanding the shortness of time. There are too many stars in some places and not enough in others, but that can be remedied presently, no doubt. The moon got loose last night and slid down out of the scheme of things. A very great loss. It breaks my heart to think of it. There is no other thing among the ornaments and decorations that is comparable to it for beauty and finish. It should have been fastened better. If only we could get it back. Stars are good too. I wish I could get some and put in my hair, but I suppose I never can. You would be surprised to find how far off they are, for they do not look it. When they first showed last night, I tried to knock them down with a pole, but it did not reach, and it astonished me. Then I tried clods until I was all tired out, and I never got one. It was because I'm left-handed and can't throw good. So I cried a little which was natural, I suppose, for one of my age. And after I was rested, I got a basket and started for a place on the extreme rim of the circle where the stars are close to the ground, and I could get them with my hands, which would be better anyway, because I could gather them tenderly and not break them. But it was farther than I thought, and at last I had to give up. I was so tired, I could not drag my feet another step, and besides, they were sore and hurt very much. I could not get back home. It was too far and turning cold. But I found some tigers, and I nestled in among them, and it was adorably comfortable, and their breath was sweet and pleasant, because they eat strawberries. I never saw a tiger before, but I knew them in a minute by the stripes. If I could have one of those skins, it would make a lovely gown. I followed the other experiment around yesterday at a distance to see what it might be for. I think it is a man. I had never seen a man, but it looked like one, and I feel sure that that is what it is. I realize I feel more curiosity about it than any of the other reptiles. If it is a reptile, and I suppose it is, it has frowsy hair and blue eyes and looks like a reptile. It has no hips. It tapers like a carrot. When it stands, it spreads itself apart like a derrick. So I think it is a reptile. I was afraid of it at first and started to run every time it turned around, for I thought it was going to chase me. But by and by, I find it was only trying to get away. So after that, I was not timid anymore and tracked it along for several hours, about 20 yards behind, which made it nervous and unhappy. At last, it was a good deal worried and climbed a tree. I waited a good while and then gave up and went home. Today, the same thing. I have it up the tree again. Sunday. It is up there yet. Resting apparently, but that is a subterfuge. It looks to me like a creature that is more interested in resting than in anything else. It would tire me to rest so much. It tires me to stand around and watch the tree. I do wonder what it is for. I never see it do anything. They returned the moon last night and I was so happy. I think it is very honest of them. It slid down and fell off again, but I was not distressed. There is no need to worry when one has that kind of neighbors. They will fetch it back. I wish I could have something to show my appreciation. I would like to send them some stars, for we have more than we can use. I mean I, not we, for I can see that the reptile cares nothing for such things. It has low taste and is not kind. When I went there yesterday evening, it had crept down and was trying to catch the little speckled fishes that play in the pond. And I had to clod it to make it go up the tree again and let them alone. One of the clods took it back of the ear, and it used language. It gave me a thrill, for it was the first time that I had ever heard speech, except my own. I did not understand the words, but they were very expressive. When I found it could talk, I felt a new interest in it, for I love to talk. I talk all day and in my sleep too, and I am very interesting. But if I had another to talk to, I would be twice as interesting and would never stop.
Monday. This new creature with the long hair is a good deal in the way. It is always hanging around and following me about. I do not like this. I am not used to company. I wish it would stay with the other animals. Cloudy today. Wind is in the east. I think we shall have some rain. We? Where did I get that word? I remember now. The new creature uses it. Tuesday. Been examining the great waterfall. It is the finest thing on the estate, I think. The new creature calls it Niagara Falls. Why? I am sure I do not know. Says it looks like Niagara Falls. That is not a reason. It is more waywardness and imbecility. I get no chance to name anything myself. The new creature names everything that comes along before I can get in a protest. And always that same pretext. It looks like the thing. There is the dodo, for instance. Says the moment one looks at it, at a glance, it looks like a dodo. It will have to keep that name, no doubt. Worries me to fret about it, and it does no good anyway. Dodo. It no more looks like a dodo than I do. Built me a shelter against the rain, but I could not have it to myself in peace. The new creature intruded. When I tried to put it out, it shed water out of the holes that it looks with and wiped it with the back of his paws. And it made a noise such as some of the other animals make when they are in distress. I wish it would not talk. It is always talking. I've never heard the human voice before, and this strange sound, intruding itself, offends my ear. And this new sound is so close to me. It's right at my shoulder, right at my ear, first on one side, then on the other. And I am only used to sounds that are distant from me.
Friday, my first sorrow. Yesterday he avoided me and seemed to wish I would not talk to him. I could not believe it and thought that there was some mistake, for I loved to be with him and loved to hear him talk. So how could it be that he would feel unkind towards me when I had not done anything? But it seemed true, so I went away and sat lonely in a place where I first saw him the morning that we were made. It was a mournful place, and every little thing spoke of him, and my heart was very sore. It was a new feeling. I had not experienced it before, and it was all a mystery. But when the night came, I could not bear the lonesomeness and went to the shelter that he had built to ask him what I had done wrong and how I could mend it and get back his kindness again. But he put me out in the rain, and it was my first sorrow. Saturday. I tried to get him some of those apples, but I cannot learn to throw straight. I failed, but I think the good intention pleased him. They are forbidden, and he says I shall come to harm. But so I come to harm through pleasing him. Why should I care for that harm?
Saturday. The new creature eats too much fruit We are going to run short, most likely. We, again. That is its word. Mine too now, from hearing it so much. Good deal of fog this morning. I do not go out in the fog myself. The new creature does. It goes out in all weathers and stumps right in with its muddy feet and talks. It used to be so pleasant and quiet here. Monday. The new creature says its name is Eve. That is all right. I have no objections. Says it is to call it when I want it to come. I said it was superfluous then. The word evidently raised me in its respect. It is indeed a large, good word, and it will bear repetition. It says it is not an it. It is a she. This is at all one to me. She were nothing if she would just go by herself and not talk. Friday. The naming goes recklessly on, in spite of anything I can do. I had a very good name for the estate. Musical, pretty, Garden of Eden. Privately, I will continue to call it that, but no longer publicly. The new creature says it is all woods and rocks and scenery, and therefore has no resemblance to a garden. Says it looks like a park, and does not look like anything but a park. Consequently, without consulting me, it has been new named Niagara Falls Park. That is high-handed, it seems to me. And already there is a sign up. Keep off the grass. My life is not as happy as it was. She has taken to beseeching me to stop going over the falls. What harm does it do? Says it makes her shudder. I wonder why. I have always done it. I always liked the plunge, the excitement, the coolness. I suppose it was what the falls were for. There have no other use that I can see, and they must have been made for something. She says they were only made for scenery, like the rhinoceros and the mastodon. Saturday. I escaped last Tuesday night and traveled 2 days and built me another shelter in a secluded place, obliterated my tracks as best as I could. But she hunted me out by means of a beast which she has tamed and calls a wolf, and came making that pitiful noise again, and shedding that water out of the places she looks with. I was obliged to return with her, but I will presently emigrate again when occasion offers. She engages herself in many foolish things, among others, trying to study out why the animals called the lions and the tigers live on grass and flowers, when she says the sort of teeth they wear would indicate that they're intended to eat each other. This is foolish, because they would have to kill each other, and that would introduce what, as I understand, is called death. And death, as I've been told, has not yet entered the park. Sunday. Pulled through. This day is getting to be more and more trying. It was selected to set apart last week as a day of rest. I already had 6 of them the week before. Monday. I believe I see what the week is for. It is to give me time to rest up from the weariness of Sunday. This seems a good idea. She has been climbing that tree again. I prodded her out of it. She said nobody was looking. Seems to consider that a sufficient justification for chancing any dangerous thing. Told her that. The word justification moved her admiration. Thursday. She told me she was made out of a rib taken from my body. This is at least doubtful, if not more than that. I have not missed a rib. She is in much trouble about the buzzard. Says grass does not agree with it. Is afraid that she cannot raise it. She thinks it was intended to live on decayed flesh. The buzzard must get along with the best it can with what is provided. We cannot overturn the whole scheme to accommodate the buzzard. Saturday. She fell in the pond yesterday when she was looking at herself in it, which she is always doing. She nearly strangled and said it was most uncomfortable. This made her feel sorry for the creatures that live in there, which she calls fish. For she continues to fasten names on the things that do not need them and do not come when they are called by them. This is a matter of no consequence to her, as she is such a numbskull anyway. So, she got a lot of them out and brought them in last night and put them in my bed to keep them warm. I've noticed them now and then all day, and I do not see that they're any happier there than they were before, only quieter. When night comes, I shall throw them outdoors. I will not sleep with them again, for I find them clammy and unpleasant to lie among when a person has nothing on. Sunday, pulled through again. Tuesday, she has taken up with the snake now. The other animals are glad, for she was always experimenting with them and bothering them. And I am glad, because the snake talks, and this enables me to get a rest.
Tuesday. All the morning I was at work, improving the estate, and I purposely kept away from him in hopes that he would get lonely and come. But he did not. I stopped at noon and ate my luncheon. Then I sat in the shade and waited and wished, but he did not come. I laid a dry stick on the ground and tried to bore a hole in it with another in order to carry out a scheme that I had. And soon I got an awful fright. A thin, transparent, bluish film rose up out of that hole, and I dropped everything and ran. I thought it was a spirit, and I was so frightened. But I looked back, and it was not coming. So I leaned against a rock and rested and panted, and let my limbs go on trembling until they got steady again. Then I creeped wearily back, alert and watching and ready to fly if there was occasion. And when I was come near, I parted the branches of the rose bush and peeped through. Wishing the man was about, I was looking so cunning and pretty. but the sprite was gone. I went there, and there was a pinch of delicate pink dust in the hole. I put my finger in to feel it, and said, ouch, and took it out again. It was a cruel pain. And I put my finger in my mouth, and by standing first on one foot and then the other foot, and grunting, I presently eased my misery. Then I was full of interest. I was curious to know what that pink dust was. Suddenly, the name of it came to me, though I had never heard of it before. It was fire. I had created something that did not exist before. I had added a new thing to the world's uncountable properties. Fire is beautiful. Someday it will be useful, I think. At first, I could not make out what I was made for. But now, I think it is to search out the secrets of this wonderful world and be happy, and thank the giver of it all for devising it. There are many things to learn yet. I hope so. He talks very little, perhaps because he is not bright, and is sensitive about it, and wishes to conceal it. It is such a pity that he should feel so, for brightness is nothing. It is in the heart that values lie. I wish I could make him understand that a loving heart is riches, and riches enough, and that without it, intellect is poverty. I had to have company. I was made for it. So I made friends with the animals. They are so charming, and they have the kindest dispositions and the politest ways. They never look sour. They never let you feel that you were intruding. They smile and wave their tails if they have one.
Friday. She says the snake advises her to try the fruit of that tree, and says the result will be great and fine and noble education. I told her there would be another result too. It would introduce death into the world. That was a mistake. It had been better to keep that remark to myself. It only gave her an idea. She could save the sick buzzard and furnish fresh meat to the despondent lions and tigers. I advised her to keep away from that tree. She says she would not. I foresee trouble. I will emigrate. Wednesday. I have had a variegated time. I escaped that night and rode a horse all night as fast as I could, hoping to get clear out of the park and in some other country before the trouble should begin. But that was not to be. About an hour after sunup, as I was riding through a flowery plain where thousands of animals were grazing, slumbering, or playing with each other according to their want, when all of a sudden they broke into a tempest of frightful noises. And in one moment the plain was a frantic commotion, and every beast was destroying its neighbor. I knew what it meant. Eve had eaten that fruit, and death has come into the world. Tigers ate my horse, paying no attention when I ordered them to desist, and they would even eat me if I had stayed, which I did not. But I went away in much haste and found a place outside the park and was fairly comfortable for a few days. But she found me out and named the place Tonawanda. Says it looks like that. But in fact, I was not sorry she came. for there were but meager pickings here, and she bought some of those apples. I was obliged to eat them. I was hungry. It was against my principles, but I find that principles have no real force except when one is well fed. She came curtained in boughs and bunches of leaves, and when I asked her what she meant by such nonsense, and snatched them and threw them down on the ground, she tittered and blushed. I've never seen a person titter and blush before. To me it seemed unbecoming and idiotic. She said I would soon know how it was myself. This was correct. Hungry as I was, I laid down the half-eaten apple and arrayed myself in the discarded boughs and branches, and then spoke to her with some severity and ordered her to go and get some more and not to make such a spectacle of herself. After this, we crept down to where the wild beast battle had been and collected some skins. I made her patch together a couple of suits proper for public occasions. They are uncomfortable, it is true, but stylish. And that is the main point of clothes. I find she is a good deal of a companion. I feel I should be lonesome and depressed without her, now that I've lost my property. Another thing, she says it is ordered that we work for a living hereafter. She will be useful. I will superintend. One year later, we have named it Cain. She caught it while I was up country trapping on the north shore of the Erie. Caught it in the timber a couple of miles from our dugout. It resembles us in some ways and may be a relation. That is what she thinks. But this is an error in my judgment. The difference in size warrants the conclusion that is a different and new kind of animal. A fish, perhaps. Though when I put it in the water, it sank, and she plunged in and snatched it out before there was time to determine the matter. I still think it is a fish. Sunday. She does not work on Sundays, but lies around all tired out and likes to have the fish wallow all over her, and she makes fool's noises to amuse it and pretends to chew on his paws and make it laugh. I have not seen a fish before that could laugh. This makes me doubtful. I've come to like Sundays myself. Superintending all week tires the body so. There ought to be more Sundays. In the old days they were tough, and now they come in handy. Wednesday. It is not a fish. I cannot make out what it is. It makes curious, devilish noises when not satisfied, and says, "Goo, goo," when it is satisfied. It is not one of us, for it does not walk. It is not a bird, for it does not fly. It is not a frog, it does not hop. It is not a snake, it does not crawl. I feel sure it is not a fish, though. I cannot get a chance to find out whether it is or not. It merely lies around mostly on its back with its feet up. If it dies, I will take it apart and see what the arrangements are. I've never had a thing perplex me so. Three months later. The perplexity augments instead of diminishing. I sleep but little. It has ceased from lying around, and it goes about on 4 legs now. Yet it differs from the other 4-legged animals in that the front legs are unusually short. Consequently, this causes the main part of this person to stick up uncomfortably high in the air. This is not attractive. The front short legs and the long hind ones indicate that it is of the kangaroo family. She thinks more of it than she does of any of the other animals, but is not able to explain why. Her mind is disordered. Everything shows it. Five months later, it is not a kangaroo, for it supports itself by holding onto her fingers, and thus goes a few steps and then falls down. It is probably some kind of a bear, yet has no tail as yet, no fur except on his head. Bears are dangerous since our catastrophe. I shall not be satisfied to have this one prowling about the place much longer without a muzzle on. I've offered to get a kangaroo if she would let this one go. But it did no good. She is determined to run us into all sorts of foolish risks, I think. She was not like this before she lost her mind. 4 months later, the bear has learned to paddle around by itself on its hind legs. And it says Papa and Mama. This imitation of speech, taken together with its general absence of fur, absence of a tail, sufficiently indicates it's a new kind of bear. A further study of it will be exceedingly interesting. Meanwhile, I'll go on a far expedition to the forest to the north and make an exhaustive search. There must be one other one someplace, and this one be less dangerous when it has company its own species. I will go straight away, but I will muzzle this one first. Four months later, it has been a weary, weary hunt, yet I've had no success. In the meantime, without stirring from the home estate, she caught another one. I never saw such luck. The next day, I've been comparing the new one and the old one. It is perfectly plain that they are of the same breed. I was going to stuff one of them for my collection, but she is prejudiced against it for some reason or another. So I've relinquished the idea, though I think it is a mistake. It would be irreparable loss to science if they should get away. The new one is as ugly now as the old one was at first. It has the same sulfur and raw meat complexion, and the same singular head without any fur on it. She calls it Abel. 10 years later, they are boys. We found it out long ago. It was their coming in a small, immature shape that puzzled us. We were not used to it. And there are some girls now. Abel is a good boy. But if Cain had stayed a bear, it would have improved him. After all these years, I see that I was mistaken about Eve in the beginning. It is better to live outside the garden with her than inside it without her. At first I thought she talked too much, but now I should be sorry to have that voice fall silent and past out of my life. Blessed be the fruit that brought us together and taught me to know the goodness of her heart and the sweetness of her spirit.
"15 years later, when I look back, the garden is a dream to me. It was beautiful, surpassingly beautiful, enchantingly beautiful, and now it is lost, and I shall not see it any more. The garden is lost, but I have found him, and am content. He loves me as well as he can. I love him with all the strength of my passionate nature. If I ask myself why I love him, I find I do not know, and do not really much care to know. I love certain birds because of their song, but I do not love Adam on account of his singing. The more he sings, the more I do not get reconciled to it. Yet, I ask him to sing because I wish to learn to like everything that he is interested in. I am sure I can learn to like his singing because at first I could not stand it, but now I can. It sours the milk. But it doesn't matter. I can get used to that kind of milk. It's not on account of his brightness that I love him. No, it is not that. He is not to blame for his brightness, such as it is. For he did not make it himself, and that is sufficient. It is not on account of his gracious and considerate ways and his delicacy that I love him. No, he lacks in those regards. But he is well enough just so, and is improving. It is not on account of his industry that I love him. No, it is not that. It is not on account of his education that I love him. No, it is not that. It is not on account of his chivalry that I love him. No, it's not that. He is strong and handsome, and I love him for that. And I admire him. But I could love him without these qualities. If he were plain, I should love him. If he were a wreck, I would love him, and would work for him, and slave over him, and pray for him, and watch by his bedside until I died. "40 years later, it is my prayer, it is my longing that we may pass from this life together, a longing which shall never perish from this earth, but shall have place in the heart of every wife that loves, until the end of time, and it shall be called by my name. But if one of us must go first, it is my wish that it shall be I, for he is strong, I am weak. I am not so necessary for him as he is to me. Life without him would not be life. How could I endure it? This entreaty is also immortal, and will not cease from being offered up while my race continues. I am the first wife, and in the last wife I shall be repeated.
Wheresoever she was, there was Eden.